So speaking of challenges, we're in the midst of a global pandemic, COVID-19. How did COVID first come onto your radar? When did you first start hearing about it?
Well, probably in late February. I, like everybody else, was watching the news programs, and they were talking about, this virus that was shutting down China and making its way across Europe. And in the news reporting, eventually there was this suggestion that it was just a matter of time before it was coming to the United States. By the time it hit England, I was like, okay, it's coming here, and we should really get ready. So fortunately, I had some people on staff who really alerted me to the fact that we needed a plan and we needed to be agile in our execution.
So how do you go about approaching that? One of the hallmarks of COVID was, especially at the beginning, how quickly information changed about it and how it came on, its effects, and all of that. So walk us through the approach of how you come about making a plan, or went about making a plan.
Yeah, once we realized that COVID was going to require us to shut down school, at least physically, we were committed to the idea that while we were not going to be in school for our education, we were going to continue our education online. So while students obviously weren't going to be able to come into the building, we were not going to disrupt their learning. We were going to find every way possible to make sure that the high quality education that we were offering inside the building continued on virtually. So we had to come up with a plan. And so we had to figure out what platform we were going to use to engage with students. We had to sort of really do a quick study on who was going to be able to engage, what kind of technology was available to our students. And then we just had to jump in. I mean, that's the nature of this unprecedented event. Like, you really didn't know what was on the other side. You were just like, we're committed to these principles and we're going to move forward.
So talk to us about the timeline here. So February, March, it starts to become a present threat.
Mm-hmm.
How did you all pivot? What did the spring look like for you?
Yeah, so by the time we hit mid-March, the governor was announcing, quarantine, stay-at-home orders, and it's becoming pretty apparent that the next thing that's going to close are schools. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but we knew by, I think it was March the 16th, like that Thursday or Friday, that something was going to happen, and we wanted to be ahead of the curve. So we literally convened an assembly of our students, and on a Thursday, we sent them home. But we sent them home telling them a couple of things. We said, number one, we want you to go home and be safe. Number two, we're going to use Thursday and Friday to sanitize the entire building so that if you come back, the building will be ready to go. At this point, we were at the very fledgling sort of understanding of how this virus works. So we're like, we're gonna clean the building, let's start there. And then we told them a couple of things that were more on the sort of psychological approach to this event. I remember having all of the students in the gymnasium and saying, there are a couple of things that COVID presents. And certainly it is a crisis, but within every crisis, there is opportunity, right? And there are a couple of things we want to make sure that we are able to say once the crisis is over. And so I said to the students, we want to be proud of the way we behaved. We absolutely want to get on the other side of this experience and look back and not be ashamed, not have to lower our eyes, but instead say, we rose to the occasion. Yes. Imani Christian Academy rose to the occasion, and we conducted ourselves in an exemplary fashion. I also said, this is an opportunity for growth for us. This is a way of really moving forward in an unprecedented way. Like, we're going to be away from school. Everybody take your books home. So the other thing we stressed was, this is not a vacation. You're not going home and then no education is going to happen. At that point, I didn't know how it was going to continue, but I wanted to make sure that we communicated to our students that education was absolutely going to continue. And we prayed out and we sent them home on Thursday, and I think it was on Friday that the announcement came out that schools essentially were going to be quarantined and no one was going back to school.